Hey guys, welcome back to MichowaCrochet. And did I get scammed? Why did I lose my Crojo? Here are some questions we're going to answer today. Let's start with a couple of things that happened that have made me lose my Crojo over the past couple of weeks. For one, we started having major problems with our neighbors because they were parking literally on our lawn. Not like they were a little bit over in their driveway or something like that, or, like the edge of our yard. No, we're talking about they drove up in our yard to park in our yard. Like in the middle of the yard, in the grass. So that was an issue because we asked them not to anymore, which turned into major problems. We didn't think it was that big of an ask, but apparently it was. And it's been not pretty. Let's put it that way. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but that had been pretty intense for a bit. It's still kind of going on, but it's lightened up for a minute, so I'm hoping I can get through a video. The other thing that happened was I got like a nasty sinus infection, which led to stopped up ears and an ear infection, and I was just feeling icky. All that kind of combined, and then we'll get into where I think it might be a little harsh to say scam, but I'm going to call it a scam because of the way it left me feeling at the end of the day. Let me give you some details about that. I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to be nasty I'm not going to be nasty and be calling people out, but I just want you kind of aware of what happened. So I went ahead, and I don't know if anybody else was seeing this, but I was seeing it was like a hooded cowl, and it had like a little extra material here, and then it strapped under your underneath your arm. So this way you could wear it as a cowl, you could pull it up hooded, you could have your face covered, and it'd keep out all that winter air. So I saw that thinking I would like one, and maybe it's something that I might want to make for somebody else. So I saw this pattern going around, and it seemed like consistently I was seeing the same pattern getting really good reviews and stuff, and I was seeing it on multiple different platforms. And I thought, okay, this is the one I think I'll probably end up getting. I'm not 100%, but I keep seeing the same one over and over. This seems to be the one people are really liking and recommending. So I put it in my Etsy cart. I looked around a little bit more to see if there's anything else I liked. Wasn't really seeing anything else. I figured in the end I'll probably end up settling on this one, but I took a minute to look around. Well, then I got a coupon. I got a little notification on Etsy saying that there was a coupon. And I thought, oh, well, if there's a coupon, then I'm not out as much if I decide I don't like it, or if I don't get to the pattern, or the pattern I end up not doing anything with it until next fall. Okay, So I went ahead, I purchased the pattern. So I open up the pattern, and I like to look it over a little bit. There's some patterns I will just jump in on, but if it's somebody I've never bought their pattern before and I don't really know their style, I'll take some time and read through the pattern a little bit just to kind of familiarize myself with everything and how, the type of stitching. I'll make sure it's US terms, because if it's not US terms, then that takes a little bit more brain power, because it's not what I usually work in. So I go ahead and I decide I'm going to read through the pattern. When I went to read through the pattern, I was finding some pretty major errors. There were things I don't know if this pattern was supposed to be if they were measuring in inches or centimeters. And, that's kind of a weird thing to not label, just using 4x4 and not using 4 inches by 4 inches or 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters. As a seasoned crocheter, I could figure it out. If I really wanted to put the brain power out there, I could figure it out. My problem is, though, I bought the pattern so I didn't have to put that kind of brain power into it. I bought the pattern to support a small business because they already had the math figured out. They already have the pattern figured out. As a seasoned crocheter, I could figure this out if I really wanted to, but there's a benefit for me and the other person by buying a pattern. And I mean, considering I got a coupon for it, I thought, I was thinking this was going to be a win-win. So they get, They get a return on the brain power they put out to create the pattern, and I don't have to put the brain power out there, and and I just spend a little money. So I was pretty disappointed about that, but I was like, whatever, it hasn't been that cold here, so maybe I'm just gonna throw it into, you know, I'll just throw it into the 2024 fall, me, the things I'm making then. I'm not gonna worry about it, making it right now in present day Brie. Present day Brie doesn't need to put out this brain power. We'll leave that to Brie in the future and, of fall 2024. So no worries, So I move on. And then, I'm still looking though for a new project. I'm currently working on a sweater. If you've been following me for a minute, you might know that I typically don't work on more than one project at a time. But this sweater, I'm like, the warmer the weather starts getting, and currently I don't have any snow where I live. So the more I'm kind of like, man, I'm going to make this and it's just going to hang in my closet until next fall. And I'm like, do I really want to put effort into making something that I'm not even able to wear for 6 months? So I have been kind of having a battle with the sweater I'm working on. I like it. It's MichowaCrochet, which I've become a really big fan of now that I've taken Marley Bird's colorwork workshop. Camp Colorwork from Marley Bird. Let me make sure I say that correctly so that if you're interested, you can go check that out. But since I did the camp color work, I've mosaic all of a sudden it's just really clicking for me, and I'm really enjoying it a lot more because I learned some tips and tricks. So I'm really enjoying that. Even though I'm really enjoying it, the payout isn't. I'm not gonna really cash in on until fall because the weather's warming up here. Just ask Punxsutawney Phil. He said it's gonna be in early spring. Anywho, though, I went ahead and I was looking for another pattern because frankly, I just didn't want to work on that one because I had to put so much brain power into it. So one of my favorite influencers, they shared a link to a paid pattern that was not theirs, it was somebody else's. And I really liked that one. It was like a hooded bolero. And I'm like, well, that would be good because it would be, it's going to work up a lot quicker than the sweater I'm currently working on. And I actually would have a chance at wearing it before the weather would get too warm, if I hustle and get it done. So I thought that could be a really good idea. So I went ahead, I pop it into my Etsy cart, and then the same thing happened with the coupon. I had a coupon. I got a notification from Etsy saying that, hey, there's, this coupon, and if you act now, you can get it cheaper. And I was like, well, why wouldn't I do that, Because I was thinking about buying the pattern, and I can get it cheaper. And this is something that I could crochet fairly quickly, instant gratification darn near, because as soon as I'm done with it, I'll probably get to wear it some before the weather gets too warm. So I go ahead, hit purchase, and away I go. When I went and opened the pattern, I was like, uh-oh. I realized that this pattern actually was from the one I had bought 2 weeks prior. It was by the same person and was just as full of errors. And it just killed me on the inside because it was a major influencer that had suggested the pattern. And so I was like, ugh, it just gave me the ick. And I still love that influencer. That's why I'm not going to call out who it was, because I think that it's just one of those things, something slipped by them. And it happens to the best of us, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to call them out. But there's a couple of good things, though, that have come out of this kind of bad experience. And like I said, I mean, calling it a scam, they didn't set out maliciously to take my money. So scam, yes, is harsh. It's a little too harsh. But, it's more of, the way it made me feel, because I got the first pattern, got the second pattern, and neither of them have been... It seems like I can't say for sure because I'm not the designer, but it seems like neither of them were tested. Neither of them had, went to a tech editor because they're so full of errors. And if this was a free pattern, on somebody's blog, I wouldn't have thought twice about it, because I'm figuring, to me, when I'm putting the money out, I'm expecting, you pay for what you get. And yes, I did get it at a discount because of the coupons, but the coupons were exactly what influenced me to get them. So here's my takeaway from these things. like, I do have a negative takeaway of, it makes me not want to buy patterns right now. Unless I see something about, unless the description is saying it's tech edited or, tested, or, like the reviews are all good. I'm just going to have to be, I want to still support small businesses. It's going to be a minute though before I probably buy another pattern from somebody that I don't know and that I don't trust. So that's kind of a negative takeaway. I hate to be like that, but I don't want to keep putting out money for things that, they're not worth the money. My positive takeaway though is I want to make sure that when I'm recommending something to you, I'm going to be extra careful. I want to make sure that it's something that, I 100% could back. And I can't say that I can think of anything off the top of my head that I've recommended that I wouldn't 100% back. But I want to be extra, extra careful. Because, I know that the influencer didn't have malicious intent. The person that probably put out the pattern didn't have malicious intent. They thought what they were doing was great. But I want to be a little bit more, I want to make sure that I'm careful and what I share with you guys is legitimate. And it's something that I 100%, use, 100% back, 100% recommend. I try to always be honest about like anything I recommend. Like if you've watched previous videos and I've talked about like the plastic, I can't remember exactly what the name of them, but they're the plastic forms like for crocheting a hat, so you can like test the size and they're to make sure like you get the size of your hat correct. Like those I 100% recommend. 100% love those. Definitely recommend. The camp color work I recommend too, because I've learned so much and I feel like there's a lot you can learn from it. There's a lot of takeaway and it's a great value for the price. I personally paid my own money and got it. Nobody influenced me to, I heard about it. I heard Marley Bird talking about it and stuff, but I've spent my money on it and I can vouch for it. It's a good product. I want to make sure that I'm always making sure that whatever I share with you is good quality. Another positive takeaway for me is I'm getting a little bored with the same old like hats, scarves, sweaters. I want to do something that's a little bit more creative. So this kind of like negative experience has kind of led me on a different path for crochet that I wasn't expecting to take this year. I was expecting to, make sweaters and, all the things I normally would make. But now I'm like kind of venturing off and I want to learn more about crochet art that people are making. And I ended up actually last week finishing, well, I shouldn't say finished because I've not sewn out on the letters yet. But I made my first piece of crochet artwork, which is something like I'd been seeing people like share on like Facebook and on Instagram and TikTok. And like, I never thought that, like it's something that I would ever do. Because I'm like, what's it going to do? It's going to sit on, I'm going to put it on the wall. It's going to get dusty or it's going to sit in a corner and get dusty. But like, I've just been finding like the more I've seen, the more joy it brings me. So I'm really excited to say that I made my first piece of crochet artwork, and that's, what I finished over the past 2 weeks. Well, finished minus, I still have to sew the letters on, but hopefully by the time you see this, hopefully I'll have the letters already sewn on. But I'm going to insert a picture over here of what it looks like, and I'm very proud of it. If you've ever heard the song John Deere Green, that kind of inspired this, and I didn't want to make anything for my first thing. I didn't want it to be like anything too complicated. So I thought, go with something, meaningful, something that was, simple shapes, and something that would just bring me joy every time I look at it. So this is it. So I thought it was cute because like it's got my husband and I's names on it and the heart. It's inspired by that song, which has been my ringtone for like a very long time. I love that song. So I just thought I would share that with you today. I'm hoping to get back to my normal schedule of posting once a week. I am hoping to kind of amp that up even more, posting a little bit more often. I'd really like to hear from you on other things you'd like to hear about with crochet. Would you be interested in like a series of like beginner crochet tips and tricks? Would you be interested in like learning like crochet like from the very basic beginning? Would you be interested more about crochet art? Would you be interested in my journey about, getting into crochet art? Would you like to hear more just about, normal crochet items of blankets, hats, scarves, sweaters? What are you really into? Because I've gotten a few new followers, and I want to know, what kind of stuff do you want to see here on YouTube? What kind of videos are you looking for? So please take some time to let me know what you're okay, let's put it this way. Let's just simplify that. What is your favorite kind of crochet videos to watch on here on YouTube? Let me know in the comments. Simplified. Until next week, take care.